Welcome back to the Overland Trail Guides podcast. My name is Ben. I'll be your host. This is episode 28 from Dream to Reality, the Pan American Highway. Before we introduce our awesome guest today, just want to give you a little bit of background on Overland Trail Guides. You can catch us online at overlandtrailguides.com. OTG features North America's largest directory of curated overland routes with over 100 overland routes in Canada, the United States, and Mexico. Best way to support us is hit the website, become a member, and join. If that's not for you, you can always hit that subscribe button on whatever platform you're listening to do. But without further ado, I would like to welcome the Momentary Locals to the show. Carina and Chris, welcome, guys.
Hey, Ben. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So we tried to do the show last week, but we hit a little bit of a hang up along the way. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about that and where you're currently at right now.
Yeah, well, we got kind of what all overlanders dread, which is they call the knock,
A knock.
right? So luckily it was, in the morning we were already kind of ready for the day and we weren't in our skivvies, but unfortunately the timing was terrible because we were meeting with you to have a conversation and somebody came by and said, "Hey, you're not allowed to camp here," even though we weren't camping anymore. But either way, we had to move it along. So we are now in a on a private property that we are allowed to be on in outside of Wasilla, Alaska, meeting back up with you. So yeah.
Awesome. So you guys are in Alaska right now
Yep.
on your journey on the Pan American Highway, but where's home base for you guys?
Yeah, so we departed from Santa Cruz, California. Carina and I met and spent a lot of time in San Diego, so we kind of split our time between those two locations. But I would say Santa Cruz is kind of where our heart lies, and we also have still have a home there that we rent out to some really great friends of ours.
Awesome. And so we'll get into this in a little bit, but kind of tease everybody what you guys are driving on your adventure right now.
I'll let you take that one.
Well, we are currently sitting in our mobile office, aka our Enduro Camper Super Tour, which sits on a 2024 Ford F-250, which we have completely transformed into our kind of dream overland vehicle. And we'll leave it at that for now.
Perfect. And anything else you guys want to share about yourselves before we kind of jump into everything here that you think would be pertinent to the shows? Great time to plug where people can follow you on social media or online if you want to do that.
Yeah. So we have a YouTube channel where we post like our longer form videos, and then Instagram is where I kind of post more like day-to-day things that are happening, and also a lot more pictures. Both of those are at Momentary Locals. Pretty easy to find us.
But yeah,
Yeah.
one of the, I think, interesting things that fun fact that we were just talking about earlier, in fact, is that Karina and I are celebrating our 20-year anniversary together in just a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So we're going to be in
Wow.
Alaska celebrating our 20-year anniversary.
Yeah. Which is fun.
It starts to get crazy when you think about either how long you've been with your partner or how long you've known them as kind of a proportion of your life.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like I haven't been with my wife since we were 18, but we met when we were 18. And it's like, we've known each other like more than 50% of our lives,
Yeah.
which is
Isn't that
Yeah.
wild?
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy. Um, so the Momentary Locals, how did you guys come up with a name? What was your journey into overlanding or adventure travel that got to where you're at? I know last time before we kind of got interrupted, you were talking about your previous vehicle or vehicles. So let's dive into that a little bit.
Sure.
Yeah. So I think the idea of the Momentary Locals came from the fact that we both really, really like to travel. We did a lot of international traveling throughout our relationship. And when we travel, we like to not do like the super touristy things. We like to, kind of ask the locals what's cool, what to do, where to eat. And so, the idea came about that when we travel, we go to be momentary locals, for as long as we can be at a location. So it's kind of where the name kind of
And I think
sparked from.
it's also like just to add to the type of travel that we like to do. It's as Karina mentioned, it's not like the overly touristy stuff. Obviously, we like to visit, the sites and whatnot, but in terms of like how we travel, we tend to like immerse ourselves in the culture and try to understand and help broaden our perspective on the world. And that's like
Mhm.
more of like that kind of like our ethos of travel in general is like understanding how other people live, where they came from, their day
Mhm.
to day and try to, understand what else is out there, right? In
Yeah.
the world.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm.
and I think kind of tying that into how we're traveling now, it's a little bit different, even though we are doing international travel. We're not flying there, right? We're driving there.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
that kind of came about, I'd say about 10 years ago. Karina was interested in, really wanted to go to, not Thailand, sorry, Iceland.
To Iceland, yeah.
And
Really wanted to do the ring road, and
Oh,
get a
okay.
camper van and like do that whole thing. But when we started researching it, it was really price prohibitive. It was very expensive. And I do want to go to Iceland. It's still on my bucket list, but we decided like, okay, maybe we rent a camper van and do like the West Coast instead. So we started researching that, and that was also very expensive.
yeah.
Uh,
Hmm.
and I don't know, Chris somehow went down a rabbit hole because the next morning I woke up and he was like, I found a solution.
Well, so we had, to throw in additional type of experiences and travel, we'd always enjoyed camping and going into nature. And tying those two things together was something that, like Karina said, I went down a rabbit hole on. And I ended up I found a camper that I thought would be really kind of be able to mesh those two together. We'd be able to use, and we'd be able to use it on our existing truck, which was an old Ford Ranger. And
And it was going to be for the cost of how much it would have been to rent a camper van for like 2 weeks,
Oh,
you
virtually,
know?
yeah, and we'd be able
yeah.
to use it more often. And that was kind of my selling point to her because I had a bunch of free time on my hands at the time. I had recently been laid off,
Yeah.
and a big purchase like this was not necessarily in our
Yeah.
already allocated budget. And it was a bit contentious, but the good news is that we found this used four-wheel camper. We used it a couple times and both just really
Yeah.
fell in love with the type of travel and the type of experiences that it allowed us to
Yeah.
afford backcountry camping and traveling.
It
Um,
was a whole new world
totally
that
new.
we didn't know existed.
Hmm.
Overlanding.
Yeah.
It was a brand new term for us.
Yeah. And that little camper was great. It
Yeah.
helped us to not only like experience overlanding or backcountry travel and
Dispersed camping.
dispersed camping a lot more, but also the community that was kind of built around this camper was really great. We met some fantastic people and still call them very close friends of ours and camp
Mhm.
often to this day. And it really just kind of opened our eyes to a new style, which was what we're doing now.
Yeah.
So almost accidental overlanders in a sense that started
Yeah.
out as what was supposed to be a trip to Iceland and then renting a RV or a truck camper and then actually buying one and just kind of being thrown into this world.
A
Yeah.
little bit, yeah, a
Yeah.
little bit. I
All
mean, but
right. So you
luckily we both really enjoyed it,
Yeah.
right? And I think that's kind of the
yeah.
key is that it's not just you know, uh weekend warriors anymore.
Yeah.
And
Well, that is how we started.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think this is a great segue, which is going to focus on how you ended up with the Enduro camper. But take us through kind of like your experiences with that Ford Ranger. I don't know if there were any other vehicles along the way that replaced it, but kind of like the pathway, the experiences that brought you to. And we'll talk about like, I don't want to get into how the Pan American became an idea. We'll kind of cover that next. But take us to where the evolution of the momentary locals, which you probably weren't even back then, but
Mm-mm.
like the evolution of your overlanding journey to buying a pretty sick rig to live in full time.
Yeah, I mean it was very organic, I think. That first rally with four-wheel campers, we met KP, and he had just finished the Pan American Highway in his four-wheel camper, which was something that just was not within my realm of understanding that people could drive all the way down there. And so that kind of, planted the seed, and we started watching YouTube videos. I think Chris showed me the Bound for Nowhere, like uh rig tour of their four-wheel camper, and it just, yeah, just organically we started watching more and more overlanders on YouTube and kind of daydreaming about the idea of doing it someday, but it was a pipe dream. It was just like, oh, someday
Yeah.
wouldn't that be nice,
Yeah, but I
Um,
think also too is whenever anyone starts out in this, maybe I'll just speak for ourselves, but you to a rig that is maybe like a starter rig, kind of like a starter home, right? And then you learn like what you like, what you don't like, what's gonna fit your style, your camping kind of like lifestyle and what you're comfortable with. And I think for us, our biggest like um maybe next chapter or milestone was going and visiting Overland Expo West in 2022, I believe.
yeah.
And there we made it our mission to find kind of our next camper because, we there were limitations, right, with our existing setup. We wanted to, like you said, evolve and kind of move towards longer term travel, being more comfortable, but also being able to stay out longer.
Hmm.
And that our mission was to
Yeah.
look at all the different options that were available, and it was a great spot to do it because it's all compact and central,
Yep.
located.
Very overwhelming.
And it was super overwhelming.
So
There
overwhelming.
were, hundreds of different options. We had an idea of going into it, what we wanted, and we got to see them up close and personal, which
Yeah.
was great. We had narrowed it down quite a bit. Um, and I think coming back from that experience, and also, by the way, while we were there, we met a lot of people that we had been following, I guess, and paying attention to, and got to meet them in person, which was really fantastic to kind of broaden our network and talk to other people that had done international travel and specifically the Pan American, like Ernesto and Thaisa Overland the Americas, for example, and that helped us get more excited about the Pan
Yeah.
American as well.
Yeah. Because they got excited about us doing it. And so that made us more excited. And
Yeah. Yeah. I could see that for sure. And then, so was the driving force for a new vehicle like this adventure that you're on, or was it just upgrading the rig?
no, it really was okay. If we're gonna do the Pan American, we need to get a vehicle that can and is
Yeah.
capable of doing the Pan
I think
American.
it's both, but yes, and I think while we were planning this build, we had that in mind,
Yeah.
right? Like we're like,
Okay.
we're going to build a new rig. Let's
Got it.
plan it
Yeah.
to make sure it's kind of in our minds the best rig for doing the Pan American.
Yeah.
And like you said, you had the experience from the old vehicle, so you kind of had an idea of like things that weren't working and some of the aspirations of what you wanted in a new vehicle. Probably just pressing a button and then your roof goes up, right?
Yeah. That was
Every time I see somebody that has like a Super Tramp or Greg,
Yeah,
or I even know a guy that put in his own hydraulic lifts on a tune-in-one camper, I'm just like, can you stop? Can you just do that
right.
on the I don't need
Yeah.
to see that right now, you know? Definitely one of
Supertramp.
the things that yeah, go ahead.
No, it's Supertramp was on our short list too,
yeah.
and we saw it for the first year at Expo West, and we're like,
Yeah.
we didn't even know that was that they were going to be there. We found them like the last day, and we're like, oh, this totally changes things. We
Yeah.
really liked their build quality. Their configuration was not like our favorite, but we were thinking if we could work around it. So we took all of that, right, and decided kind of what we thought would be as close or 80% of the perfect rig that we wanted.
You can't get everything you want, right? Unless you want to
No.
drop like $300,000 on a custom build or something like that. And even then, I feel like I wonder what the ROI is on some of those that I've seen built. So you've got an F-250 with an enduro camper, and I know it's kind of a unique platform. Kind of walk us through what the setup is on the truck. You can talk a little bit about enduro camper, and we can talk about kind of your journey to actually that was the company that you're going to work with to build your office or your home on wheels.
Yeah, I mean, I think there were a couple things that happened. So after Overland Expo, we were really overwhelmed by all the choices and just kind of paused on things, I think, kind of letting everything simmer and just kind of walked away and took a couple months to kind of think about it. And then actually in January of 2023, one of Chris's friends suddenly passed away very unexpectedly, and he was our age. And I think for both of us, that was kind of, hey, we need to pull the trigger because we just don't know how much, nothing's guaranteed in life, right?
Mhm.
And so that was kind of the impetus to, okay, we really need to do this.
to pick it
And
back up.
yeah, to pick it back up and
Well, I
plan.
think the other reason we weren't ready to like pull the trigger on a new camper right away is because we, excuse me, we didn't have a truck. We didn't have a truck to do it, and so um, that was already like a blocker and prevented us from like impulse, buying. And we weren't sure exactly which configuration we wanted. We had an idea, but again, talked to a lot of people, and we knew that we wanted the shortest wheelbase possible in a truck that could. So one of the biggest like limitations of our old rig, and a lot of campers on mid-sized trucks, is weight, right? And so we knew we wanted something that was going to be able to handle the weight full time and do the adventure travel and off-roading that we wanted to do. And so we really liked the Ford configuration. A lot of the factory options allowed us to pick like factory locker in the back and, gearing for larger tires, wheels and tires. And then we decided to go gas because we knew that modern diesel engines and clean diesel was difficult to obtain in Central and South America. There's also a lot less maintenance on the gas
Payload
engine.
too.
Payload,
Yep.
additional
Yeah.
payload on the gasser, exactly. And so all those reasons pushed us towards the Ford platform. We ended up getting a super cab or extended cab version with a short bed, and that configuration I think was at the time either the last year that they made it, or they stopped making it and they're bringing it back. But that it's a relatively unique. You don't see them a whole lot. So we had to order that specifically from Ford.
Yeah.
And actually, kind of funny story around that. When we decided to pull the trigger and make the order, about a month in, there was a big strike. I don't know, you might remember this was like in
Three.
2023, I think. There
Yeah.
was a giant auto strike and Ford was caught up in that and the Super Duties were caught up in that. So our build took a little longer than expected.
Mm.
Yeah.
We didn't end up getting it until February of 2024, even though we ordered it,
Summer
yeah,
23.
early summer of 2023.
Yeah.
And so we also had to wait on the camper build. And I think, at that time, well, I might be kind of like messing my timelines, but in terms of when we decided on the Enduro,
Yeah, so the Enduro came about. We have a friend that we had met at Overland Expo West in 22, Thomas. Um, he was working with Enduro campers and he has a topper on his truck. And he posted something in before PNW in 23. And it was a cool camper build. It was essentially the prototype of the Super Tour. And I messaged Thomas and was like, "Hey, oh my gosh, this is really cool. Tell me more." And he said, "Just wait. He's
give
still,
them some
yeah,
time
give him some time. He's gonna build something cool." And
because this was a topper, right? This
yeah,
was just a bed rail
I
topper,
saw
but it
some
was
of those. Yeah.
fully composite, carbon fiber wrapped. It was like really, really cool.
yeah,
And we knew that, there were other things coming down the line.
yeah. So
Very cool.
we ended up figuring out that his shop is in San Luis Obispo, which is like 4 hours from Santa Cruz. So we chatted with him and made an appointment to go see it in person. And um, we talked about going to PNW. He ended up coming to PNW and kind of camping near us. And so we started kind of forming that relationship with Leif, who's the owner and mastermind behind Enduro Campers. Um, and actually, right after PNW, he let us take it out for the night, which was really, really nice. And
Yeah, his
Hmm.
own his
yeah,
own
his
camper
own
on his
personal
F-150.
Enduro.
He knew
Um,
there was money to be made, so.
Well, it was great. I mean, it was like try before you buy,
yeah,
the whole test
Totally.
drive thing. But
yeah,
and I will give him credit because there were things in it that we were like, this isn't going to work for us,
yeah.
and which ended up working out really well because a lot of the things that were like, this is what we would do differently, he had already thought about, right?
Yeah.
This was already in his plan and in his kind of
Yeah.
more production. And so being on the same wavelength with him and also getting the opportunity to collaborate, and we felt like he really understood what we were trying to do. And then his craftsmanship is just second to none. We were
Yeah,
really
it
like,
is.
I mean, you know what it's like in the RV, in general, the RV industry. Like, I know it's like a broad term, but we were looking for a high-end build, and we didn't want to settle for kind of the generic RV like build outs that were, out there.
Uh-huh.
So that together with, the configuration, the pop-up, we wanted to stick with something low profile, composite, which was huge, for insulation and just durability and weight.
Yep.
All of those things combined were made us decide like this is what we wanted to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, I think two things that I kind of wanted to dive in here. The first one is just, I feel like there's a bit of a design revolution. There's certain companies, I feel like Alucab was kind of at the forefront of just like really thinking about like, okay, let me allow you to slide a table in under your cab over and then you can just pull it out. And we're going to have the mounts already for you to put an awning or to put a shower cube or whatever you want to do. And just, I think you mentioned Supertramp earlier. I feel like kind of what they've done, and I'm sure Four Wheel Camper, I know they're experimenting with more layouts and stuff like that, but kind of the analogy that I use is Four Wheel Campers was a kind of like an old house in Santa Cruz where the layout was not, it didn't do a good job of kind of like using the limited amount of space. And you go to into Super Tramp, it's like an architect created, it's all open, and you don't feel like you're kind of, a, a cattle. The other thing that I wanted to call out, and this is really for people that are just kind of getting into this, you've been doing this for a while, you have real world experiences of what worked for you, what didn't. You took those learnings, and before just saying, I'm going to go buy something, you bought an extremely specific configuration. You didn't just buy any Ford F-250. It's got gas. It's got the extra cab or whatever Ford has it. It's got the short wheelbase or the short box. So you have an extremely maneuverable vehicle, but you still got enough room in the Enduro camper. So the reason I bring this up is like, people, just don't buy the first thing that you see,
Yeah.
especially at an expo. Spend the time to figure out
Yes.
what really works for you.
Mm-hmm.
Because my God, there's so much crap that people buy that ends up at the landfill because they didn't
Yeah.
take the time to really understand their problem and if it was going to kind of do what they thought it was going to do. Anyways,
Yeah,
I
and
digress from my rant
use
here. Yeah,
tools.
go
You
ahead.
you use platforms like or the um that allow you to rent different rigs and experiment when
Oh
trying
yeah,
Yeah,
them out.
Outdoorsy.
If you don't have the opportunity to
absolutely.
go and take some of these rigs out,
Yeah.
like Ross Monster was another one that we were really interested in, their Baja, and I think they even have like an option to take them out to rent them.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a really good point. That you know, take the time
Yeah.
to try to experience the different options before you
For
pull the
sure.
trigger, especially on
Yeah.
bigger ticket items.
Yeah.
Because it ain't a cheap hobby.
No.
Especially that Ross Monster would be on the opposite end of maneuverability. It's got like the long 8-foot wheel bed, I think, or something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
we were really surprised. I don't, it's really hard to tell. I think it's really hard to tell the size of a rig until you see it in person. We were also really interested in the we were really interested in the Summit by OEV,
Yeah.
which is a
That'd make
complete
KP happy.
oh they build great campers as well.
Yeah.
Actually OEV was in fact top of our list before we found Enduro.
Yeah.
Okay.
Truth be told, but
Yeah.
the Summit was like a kind of a similar style to an Earth Roamer in the configuration, and it was hard to tell how large it was but we saw one in person at Expo, and it was like it was even bigger than an Earth Roamer. So we're like, okay,
Oh,
that's out.
huge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then so you talked about some of the things with Enduro. What was it that made you say, okay, this we want to work with Leaf. We want to have them build our custom camper. What was kind of that deciding factor over a Ross Monster, an OEV, maybe a flatbed Hawk from Four Wheel Campers or something? Kind of walk us through that. And then we'll jump into the Pan American Highway and kind of talk
Yeah.
about that a little bit.
I mean, I think for me, the layout when I walked into, and granted, obviously a lot has changed from ours uh, to the one that we got to kind of take out for a spin. Um, but I love that the the galley, so to speak, the kitchen is in the back. And so you walk in, you have, you know, for camping purposes, for uh truck camper purposes, a giant kind of
Yeah.
kitchen setup because I love to
She
cook.
loves to cook.
So that was, and then the windows, just these giant windows that let in so much light. Um, so it's kind of these like little things, having underbed storage, having a full size bed that's just made. For me, my biggest gripe with our four-wheel camper was that I had to make the bed every single night. And
Yeah, you had to slide it out, put the extra cushions in.
yeah, and
Yeah.
thinking about doing that every single night living full time was a complete deal
Yeah,
breaker.
these were like the non-negotiables, right? And I mentioned it
For
before, but
sure.
Leif was really open to collaboration and
Yes.
listening to what we wanted to do. And for me too, it was having a builder that was like open to collaborating with us on how we wanted to configure the upper when he was like, I'm reconfiguring the tent, he calls it, the
Soft sides.
soft sides of the walls. What do you think about the window configuration? And so we told him what we wanted and the why, and we bounced ideas back. Like that was like the interaction with him.
Yeah.
And that's like the underbed storage was not available on the Super Tour previously. And we told him that was something that we
Yeah.
pretty much couldn't live without. He was like, I'd been, wanting to do this anyway. This is perfect timing.
Yeah. Let me figure it out.
Designed it, and it turned out like incredibly well, like for
Yeah.
his first go.
Awesome.
Yeah, like all of those things together were obviously like, proximity was nice, like being only a couple hours from Santa Cruz, but just the
Yeah. His collaborative spirit, I think,
absolutely.
Was amazing. And we hadn't kind of found that in anyone else. Not that it wasn't there, it just we kind of clicked.
Well, and
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 so
that's on top of the like composite construction. We
yeah.
wanted something like that. That's on top of the off-road capability. Like we needed something that we could take deep into the backcountry and go on these roads. So
Yeah.
like those were already like the kind of table stakes, so to speak.
Yep.
There were other builders that did that, but maybe weren't as collaborative. They
Yeah.
didn't have the interior build quality that we were looking for, or the components, right? Or they didn't want to work with us on certain things. Like
Yeah.
we didn't want to one of the unique things is we don't have propane in this camper. We have very
Okay.
limited. We have gasoline for the truck and our gasoline heater, and we have
Okay.
everything else is electric. So we have an induction cooktop. Our AC is DC powered.
Yeah.
Everything else is electric, and that
Yeah.
allows us to not have to rely on alternative fuels when we're traveling internationally,
Yeah.
um, for better or for worse.
Yeah. So I think that was one of the kind of reasons we had to rule some of the other builders out, even though we really liked them. So like Supertramp was one of them. We absolutely love. I think that Supertramp is beautifully designed. I think they're doing really great work, but it didn't work for us at the time because they still had propane. And that was kind of a no-go. They designed and built campers the way that they're configured, and there wasn't really any leeway. And so that was one of
Got
the
it.
reasons we
Yeah.
had to kind of rule them out,
And for,
unfortunately.
I think the vast majority of people that want that camper, that's going to work for them.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
totally.
You know what I mean? So not knocking on Supertramp
No, no, no,
whatsoever,
no, no.
but in our particular situation, just didn't work out at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. That's how it goes sometimes. So I want to jump into the Pan American Highway next, but before we do that, maybe you can give a little bit of advice for anybody that is considering buying a truck camper or, spending a good amount of coin on a rig to build out. What would you tell them before they pull the trigger?
I mean, I think take your time. I like in retrospect, I mean, this whole process took like 2+ years. But I'm glad that it did because you know, all the experiences led up to us knowing exactly, or at least 80% of what we wanted and needed. And if we had jumped in too soon, we would have ended up with something that maybe down the line we would have realized doesn't meet all of our needs.
Yeah. And we followed
So
a lot. And I guess not to say that like rig swapping is terrible,
yeah.
because it allows you to kind of experience different things. But I think from a lot of the people that we were following, for example, that in our research to do the Pan American and whatnot, we knew that like we didn't want to do an older vehicle because of the mechanical potential, issues. Not that nothing, not that a new vehicle is not going to break down, but it's probably less prone to doing that, and it's also under
Mhm.
warranty. Um, but settling on what you want, or not just the first thing available. Obviously, you got to find something that's within your budget. Obviously, you need to like our rig is very modified, right? So like our truck bed is gone. If we wanted to take the camper off, it's possible, but it's not convenient.
Yeah.
And we
Mhm.
wouldn't really be able to make this a truck again, a normal pickup.
Mhm.
And so you have to be, comfortable with doing that
Yeah.
as well. So
But I think the other piece too, and I feel like I can hear KP's voice in my head, which is like, just go with what you have. Start with what you have.
just
And
go
you'll
camp.
figure it out later. Yeah, just go
Yeah.
camping, go be outside, enjoy the outdoors. I'm glad we had the opportunity to do that in our four-wheel camper. Like, I'm forever grateful to Four-Wheel Camper for their community and their introduction to this whole new world for us. And then we evolved, and I think that happens also.
Yeah. So you talked about kind of the impetus of what was really the driving force once the Pan American Highway was kind of on your radar. It was the unfortunate passing of a close friend. But when did the Pan American really start to show up on your radar and start to be like, rather than just like, oh, that's cool, as opposed to like, we should do that. We should do that one day.
Yeah, well, this was another kind of unfortunate moment. So a year after um, that incident in January of 24, so the ball was already rolling. So we knew that we were getting a new camper, but I had a supervisor that I worked with at the nonprofit that I worked for. He had worked there for 20+ years, retired. And 2 weeks after his retirement, he passed away from a heart attack. And that hit me really, really hard, because, you think you have so much time in life to do the things that you want to do. And he had a lot of ambitions to travel also. He had traveled quite a bit when we were working together. And so I just remember after hearing that news going downstairs to Chris and saying, "We're doing this now. Like, no more. Like,
Yeah.
we're retiring next year. Like, that's it. Like, I'm putting a deadline on this." And so that was kind of it. It was
Yeah,
just after that, we knew there was no turning back. We were doing it.
we bumped that timeline,
Yeah.
and we were both, full time, working,
Yeah.
um, up until relatively recently, in
Yeah.
fact. And but it was always our plan to do this full time and put our whole heart into it.
Yeah.
I think the other thing that's really cool too is you didn't talk about like driving to
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, a few months after that, it was already planned, but in our four-wheel camper, because again, we were building our rig, we went down to Baja with some of our four-wheel camper friends and spent 2 weeks down there. And I think that also was a moment where like, I think we can do this. I think we can. So yeah. So it was just like little things that just kept
Kind of
pushing us.
reinforced
Yeah.
and yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
Yeah, moving us in that direction, reaffirming our decision,
Yeah.
um, and said no time like the present.
Yeah.
Tomorrow is never promised.
Yeah.
All of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So some unfortunate life events hopefully led into some opportunities, always trying to turn a negative into a positive with these sort of things. And
Yeah.
you've got a rig being built out, which you're in now.
Yeah.
So it's becoming a reality
Yeah.
probably very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And how many miles is the Pan American if you just drive it one direction? If you drive from the Arctic, is it like 12,000 or
Oh my God.
14,000?
I don't know
We researched
It's
it. I
over
don't
10,000.
it's
Yeah.
got to be.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah,
my point is it's a long freaking trip,
it
right? And
is.
it's not just like, oh, I've got to drive the U-Haul from New York to LA or something like that in five
Yeah.
days. Like you're going to take your time, you're going to experience it, you're going to be momentary locals, kind of embedding yourselves in the local culture.
Yeah.
Long trip, a lot of miles to cover. How much planning did you guys put into this before you cast off from Santa Cruz on your journey north before you start heading back south again?
I mean,
Well, there's different types of planning.
yeah.
I think maybe what Karina's talking about is route planning, like
Yeah.
Mhm. Well, that's
Like we
part of
don't
it. So let's
part of
we
let's
it.
break down the different types of planning. Maybe that's a
Yeah.
yeah.
good place to start.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of, planning for the rig and making sure that that was going to meet all of the needs. When we actually got the rig, we did a dry run, so to speak, for like 6 weeks. Really dialed in what we brought that we didn't need, what we didn't bring that we decided we did need.
Well, and part of
Um,
that kind of shakedown trip was
Shakedown.
the Great Basin Heritage Trail
Oh yeah,
that
the OTG
the
one.
OTG route,
Yep.
with the first segment, which was fantastic
Yeah, it was really great.
and really helped us understand what we, you know, needed to, and there were a handful of things that needed to be fixed before we really could leave the country.
Yeah.
But also, yeah, determining like what we needed. I kind of got a little overzealous with like thinking I needed to bring every spare part and every tool and like, you know, I think that initially one of the surprising, I guess, not surprising, but one of the unexpected things, and again, we're only so far into it, is that we're not as necessarily remote traveling as we maybe had that mindset. Like if, we've been in Canada, we've been in BC, we've been in the Yukon, Northern Territories, and now Alaska. And with the exception of like maybe the Yukon and Northern Territories, we've had access to like supplies and,
Yeah.
you know, um, we've if we had a mechanical issue, we would have been able to get that taken care of.
Yeah.
But you know, it's hard to tell like it's hard to plan for every scenario. So you kind of have to figure out like what's the most, like one of the deep dives I did was, even though the truck is really new, I wanted to understand like what are some of the potential um uh known issues with this configuration so that I can prepare for that,
Hmm.
right?
Yep.
Um and then there's all the personal planning that we had to do in terms of like,
Yeah, renting out our
yeah,
house
cleaning it
and
out, making sure that we have, that was kind of probably the most challenging for us, was
yeah.
getting ready to leave our life and paring down and getting in that like mindset of that this is not, and I think we're still struggling with this, Ben, is that like this is not vacation.
Yeah.
This is our life.
Yeah.
Like this is not an extended trip that we're on for the summer or whatever. Like this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
And like we've had conversations about that. Like,
The routine
yeah, that's one of the biggest
is really hard.
challenge. I know
Yeah.
we're kind of maybe getting off topic in terms of planning, but like
That was fine.
Routine is definitely like something
Yeah.
that we're struggling with for
Yeah.
sure. Because at home, when we had our 9 to 5, right, we would
Yeah.
have our daily routine,
Structured.
structured
Yeah.
routine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some of the challenges of this routine. This is a totally new lifestyle, as you mentioned. You don't have some of those safe, fail safes that you have at home, friends and family, and familiar places. Let's talk about the routine and the struggles of that.
I mean, for me specifically, I was a very like structured person. I woke up at 5:30 every morning. I went to the gym. I then, walked Henry and then went to work and, blah, 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 made dinner. And now I think one of my biggest struggles as someone who was really into fitness is trying to find time, or not even time, just because there's plenty of time, but
Is
the
there?
weather, it doesn't cooperate. The bugs are
Hmm.
awful. No one wants to work out when you're getting bit by mosquitoes. So that's been one of my biggest struggles is trying to find time and places to be able to stay physically active,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that's really important to like my mental and emotional health. And so that's been a challenge for
I
me,
think
definitely.
you touched on another thing too, is like finding the time. And I know you
That's
said
yeah,
like
yeah,
we have all the time in the world, but that's one of the challenges that we're experiencing is that things just take longer, like
longer.
a lot
So
longer to do. So our day ends up being filled quite a bit,
yeah,
like
surprisingly.
cooking and gathering, like just doing chores. Like yesterday,
Chores.
Yeah,
yesterday was a rainy day, and we're like, let's get some groceries done. Like we're in a major town, a relatively big town right now, so let's restock on groceries, resupply on water. Let's get some laundry done. And
that took
at
all day.
home, that might take a couple of hours, right? But on the road, it took half or more of the day to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Because
And
you can't really multitask. Like when you're at the laundromat, you have to kind of sit by your laundry. So
it
Yeah, you don't want to lose your clothes,
yeah,
right? That
you have
would
a limited supply
3,000,
already.
yeah, 4,000 miles from clothes. You'd be shopping
Yeah.
at the local Walmart or Cabela's, I guess.
Yeah.
so those things
But
take
you,
time,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah,
definitely.
I mean, you bring up some interesting points. I think a lot of people watch YouTube, like we probably all have at some point or another, and they get enthralled by these beautiful places and these people going to things. And some people will portray this, but like there's a stressful side on the other side,
Oh yeah.
Oh
like
yeah.
there's this, especially doing it full time or long distance stuff. Like if you're on a week long trip, you're going to be home in a week, right? So you kind of have that luxury. But like even then, it's like you got to clean the dishes, you got to do
Mhm.
this, you got to clean up, and like people don't see that stuff. They just think it's all milk and honey or whatever. So
Yeah. Yeah.
For sure.
Well, and you brought up a good point too. Like if you have a week long trip, you've probably planned at least, the
Yeah, definitely.
overview general area of where you're going to stay, for example, right? And we have a route idea, but our nightly like camping situation is almost day by day for the most part.
Yeah.
And we experienced it just the other day with you, Ben, right? Like
yep.
Yeah.
it's not
Hmm.
always the best place. And you kind of just have to roll with it. Sometimes you get fantastic spots like we're in now, right?
Yeah.
Or along the river like we had a couple nights. But it's almost like golf. Maybe this is a terrible analogy, but it's like, you hit a
Hit me.
great shot in golf and it keeps you like, oh man, this is great. Or you have a terrible round in golf and you're like, why am I even doing this? You know?
Yeah.
But for some reason you keep coming back, and that's kind of what we're
That's
doing.
very true. Yeah. We
I was expecting a surfing analogy from Santa Cruz with the waves being fickle and being blown out in summer,
That's
but
that would have
that's
been
true.
better.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah. But also having to think about where you're going to sleep every night. Like I also watched the YouTube videos and heard people saying that and it registered, but it's so different when you're experiencing it of like,
mhm.
okay, like let's go through Google Maps and see where we could potentially sleep. And then it's especially stressful, and we've had this happen a couple times, which is you show up to the spot that you have picked and it's terrible for whatever reason. And so
Yeah.
then you have to go to plan B,
Or it's
plan
just not
C, or
available. And I
yeah.
think as we get into towns, for example, and public land becomes less available because that's primarily where we like to spend our time out in the wilderness and whatnot. We have to rely more on like established campgrounds, RV parks, other places to stay,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that also eats into the budget,
Yeah.
and all of that. So these are all considerations.
Yeah, for sure.
And how long have you guys been on the road now since you officially departed on your adventure?
So we left just about 6 weeks ago at this point.
No, 2 months. It
Oh,
was
sorry,
early
10
June.
weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you
I
don't
believe what Chris,
count,
I believe what Carina says. My wife would be like, "You're way off too."
yeah, it was early June.
Yeah.
So like a little over 2 months. If you
Okay.
don't count the shakeout trip, because the shakeout trip was like 6 weeks prior to
Prior
that.
to
Then
Yeah,
we
that.
we
spent
won't
a
count
month at
that.
home. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, yeah. So, what has been going better or easier than expected? And we talked about some of the struggles, but what's kind of been an unexpected struggle too, maybe that we haven't touched upon?
I think what's been easier is finding, I know how this is going to sound, but like finding fresh produce in my head. I mean, coming from Santa Cruz, where it's like
Yeah.
the breadbasket of the US, where we have availability and like access to so many fresh and delicious veggies and fruits. I was worried about access, and sure, there's places where the veggies look like they've
Especially and like
had a rough
the
travel.
Arctic Circle.
Yeah. But it's been relatively easy, and I'm also vegetarian, and so like I was worried about access to, tofu and more plant-based foods, but
Hmm.
it's actually been a lot easier than I anticipated. So I'm pleasantly surprised
Yeah.
by that. And then also access
Okay.
to water.
Yeah, I think services in general, like access to water and like I mentioned before, supplies.
Yeah.
Again, this is going to vary depending on where we're at, of course,
Yeah.
but so far we've had pretty good luck with just being able to, there's a lot of, I think this, especially like in Alaska and even in BC and Western Canada in general, they cater to road travelers. There's a
Yeah.
lot of places they have for like potable water and
Yeah.
in or even public parking in like for example, we were in Fairbanks, and they
Mm,
have a big park, Pioneer Park, and they have RV parking in their massive parking lot for
yeah.
a really affordable price.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that's been really nice so far. And
Yeah.
and maybe as we continue south, that might be more challenging, but
Yeah.
um,
That's true.
yeah, it's been pretty smooth sailing so far, knock on wood.
Yeah.
So you're about 2 months into your journey. What have, your initial impressions been so far? Have there been some really notable places that you guys love? Maybe you can share about that a little bit.
I mean, I know he has one that he's thinking about, but I loved BC.
Yeah.
Just it is such
I
a
need to go back. I was just there. I love it too.
it's so beautiful. So
And we
and
rushed it. I mean, we felt like we rushed it.
yeah. But I think they also have really great infrastructure. They have what they call recreation sites, which are free
Hmm.
campsites, and some of them, leave you wanting more, but there's
Yep.
others that are just stunning. And you're like, this is free? Like, what is
Yeah.
happening right now?
It is. I have a question for you because I just got back from a 10-day trip on Vancouver Island, which sounds like
Oh,
nothing compared to what
Oh,
you guys are
that's
doing.
amazing.
Does it, and I don't, well, you were there during summer. Does it seem like everybody in British Columbia is camping when the weather is nice? Nice.
Yeah.
Like I got the feeling that like everybody was in their truck camper, their fifth wheel, and they were all out camping when I was on Vancouver Island. It was just crazy.
You know
yeah.
what? I'd never seen so, and maybe this isn't a thing in the US, but maybe it is, but I'd never seen so many rental truck campers.
Yeah. A lot.
A lot of truck campers, especially going north to the Arctic. But yeah, I think, the season's relatively short here, and
Hmm.
you kind of have to play
Take
when you
advantage.
can.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
I mean, I think the surprise or the unexpected. Yeah, when we originally started planning this, we wanted to do the Pan Am, Alaska to Argentina.
Yeah.
Um,
But that was all we knew was Alaska. Like we didn't have a specific place in Alaska. We didn't have specific routes per
Yeah, or
se.
like a specific starting point. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And so for me, and I think for both of us too,
Mm.
when we made the decision to drive to the Arctic Ocean, and that was kind of like it was an audible, right? We just weren't planning on,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
but turned out to be an incredible experience.
Yeah.
So we,
And we did it through the Dempster Highway because there's the Dempster and the Dalton.
yeah.
The
So you
Dempster is
went
through
further north.
Canada. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
we decided to do the Dempster from, talking to a lot of people
yeah, some research.
that have done it,
Yeah.
research, and we completed that relatively recently, and it was awesome.
Nice.
So not only did we make it to the Arctic Circle, but we drove all the way to the Arctic Ocean in
Tuktoyaktuk.
Tuktoyaktuk, and jumped in the
Yeah,
ocean.
jumped in the
You
Arctic.
did. That was my next
Yeah.
question. If you jumped in, how's
Yeah.
the water?
Woo, it was cold. Took us a couple tries to get fully in, but we did it.
And then if you go that way, I think there's more gravel too, right? So it's not as paved as the Dalton, I think. Does that sound right?
So they're both constructed over permafrost. It's all gravel, from my
Yeah.
understanding, because
Yeah, we didn't do the
we didn't
Dalton.
do the Dalton. Um, the whole thing was gravel though on the Dempster. It's over 500 miles, so 1,000
Hmm.
miles round trip, and it's shale. It does a number on your tires, and
Yeah,
there were a number of wrecks. There were a number of car
flat tires.
flat tires
Yeah.
and disabled vehicles for sure. You have to be, but a lot of motorcycles. I was really
Yeah.
Oh,
relatively
wow.
surprised about that, which was really cool.
We did have a casualty during that
Oh, that's
trip.
true.
Do
Yeah,
you
our
have?
first
Yeah.
kind of like hiccup
Yeah.
was like not even 10 miles into the Dalton.
Yeah, within the first hour.
We were going north, and a vehicle towing a trailer was coming south past us
Very fast.
and kicked up a rock and chipped our windshield like within the first like
Yeah.
10 minutes, it seemed. But it's like right in the
First is always the worst.
it's
Yeah.
right in my eye line too. So, and it's like this big star. But yeah, it could have been a lot worse. It could have cracked altogether and made a big
Yeah.
issue, but it was
Yeah. And we didn't get a flat tire either because, that's the big thing people talk about is
you
like
gotta
bring
bring
Uh-huh.
two
two
spares
spares.
because you're gonna get a flat
Wow.
tire. And we were very fortunate that that didn't happen to us. I think
Yeah.
it's because we drove slowly. We took our time. We did it in 6 days, the full thing, whereas some people do it in like 4, which is crazy
Well, and
to
we
me.
have
Yeah.
we have good tires, right? We
Yeah, we
have
also
we
have good
have
tires.
tires, the Toyo Open Country RT Trails, which are perfect for what we're doing. We've been super happy with.
Yeah.
But either way, we do carry a full size spare just in case. For
Yes.
it's just
Absolutely. Yes. Bring a full size spare, not a
Yeah.
donut, not the
right,
OEM wheel, right? Yes.
Yeah.
which we didn't do on our Ranger. We had like the OEM wheel on the Ranger for the
It's a
spare.
learning experience,
It's a
right?
learning
Learning
experience.
experience. Yeah. How did you guys get up to Alaska? Where did you drive or did you jump on a ferry to like Skagway or anything like that? I know you mentioned BC.
Yeah, no, we drove. We have our senior dog with us. He's 15.
Hmm.
Um and we just heard or in our research we knew that the ferry meant that pets have to stay in the vehicles. It's like 16 hours and they get very limited time to
Okay.
go outside.
Yeah.
It was just going to be too hard on him, so
Hmm.
we decided to drive it. I mean, there was that reason, and then also, I mean, we wanted to drive through BC and experience
Yeah.
BC, so
Yeah. Well, and so our original plan was to, connect with the Alaska Canada highway and go
yeah,
in from there. But because we did the Dempster first,
yeah,
we came in to Alaska via Dawson City and the Top of the World Highway, which was really cool,
really
unexpected.
beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Basically, like 60 miles of ridgeline driving up
It's
in
the
the.
Alaska range there, I think, as you getting over there, right?
It might be the
Maybe.
Alaska range.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
I
I'm
think
not.
it is. Yeah.
But that was cool, and we crossed into Alaska at a very remote border crossing, and it was almost like we were in the middle of Switzerland. I don't know why that was what come to mind. It was very
Yeah.
like rolling, hills like
Beautiful
that.
green hills, yeah.
But that was a cool route to get into Alaska, and that
Yeah.
that basically took us through Token into Fairbanks.
Fairbanks.
Cool. So you guys have made it all the way up to the Arctic Ocean, whether you want to call that the start or the end of the Pan American Highway. Now you're going back south, right?
Yeah.
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 And so you're in the Wasilla area. Is that where you're at?
Yeah.
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 So our next stop is we're gonna go south through Anchorage and then
Okay.
go into Homer and go down the Kenai Peninsula, check out
Yep.
Seward, and then
Yeah.
maybe go to Valdez or
Yeah. Valdez.
we'll probably go to Valdez. Yeah.
Valdez and McCarthy, before we start heading back through
Through
Canada.
BC, and from there we're not really too sure if we're gonna go. We had talked about doing the east coast of Canada and the US for the fall experience,
Okay.
autumn and the colors and all that. Uh, but we also didn't get a chance to go to Vancouver Island
Which we
this trip,
really want to do.
which we really want to do, and there's
Amazing.
so much more to explore, Ben. It's like
Yeah, it's
where do we
overwhelming.
Yeah,
what do we
I
do?
know. Choices, right? Well,
So that's the
they're
thing.
not bad choices, right? You just got to
Yeah.
make a choice and run with it. So I'm sure you'll come
Exactly.
up with something good.
Exactly.
For sure.
So going back to the States at some point and figure out where you're going, and then at some point you'll be heading south down into Latin America, right?
Yeah, the plan, at least as it stands today, is to cross into
To return to
Mexico.
Baja.
Yeah, return to Baja
Okay.
early January of next
Yep.
year or after Christmas this year. We're still unsure. We're gonna be spending time with family for Christmas, and
Holidays.
that'll be kind of our last hurrah before we start heading south. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of the
So
plan.
kind of, I know you're from South America, Karina. You didn't tell people where you're from, but yeah,
Yeah,
tell us
I'm
where you're
happy.
from. But I kind of want
Yeah,
to
yeah.
focus on Central and South America next, just a little bit on
Yeah.
the road ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was born in Buenos Aires in Argentina, and I I came to the US when I was 7 years old, and so to California and San Diego specifically. Um but when we started kind of talking about doing the Pan Am, I kind of had this realization or thought like, "Oh my gosh, we might be able to drive to like my grandma's house." And that thought just made my heart burst with that idea.
Yeah.
Unfortunately my grandma, both my grandmas passed away last year, but I still have a lot of family down there, so
Yeah.
still gonna get to visit a lot of my extended family, my aunts and uncles and cousins. So I'm really excited to be able to drive our
That's
house
awesome.
down there to see them.
And have you done a lot of traveling in South America outside of Argentina?
No.
Not outside of
No.
Argentina. We've
No?
been several
Okay. I mean,
times.
that was very early in your life, but I don't know
Yeah.
if you went back with family or anything
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, I mean we did visit a lot, especially in the early years. And then actually 2 years ago now, Chris and I went back. I hadn't been back in 16 years to Argentina.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't insane, but
And we really enjoyed it.
yeah, we loved it. We
We
got to be
also,
tourists in
yeah,
it.
because we ended up going to the north and Salta. We rented a car and drove part of the Ruta 40, which was really cool to kind of like preview our Pan American journey.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
But we have done travel in Central. We've been to Costa Rica and Belize.
Belize.
In fact, we've been to
Okay.
Costa Rica like 4 times now.
Yeah,
It's kind of we spent our honeymoon there, and it's kind of
love it.
one of our favorite places to
Yeah,
return to.
yeah,
So a
So
little bit of experience down in Latin America, and then you did the
yeah,
Baja thing recently.
yeah,
What are you looking for? But a lot of unknown too, right? Like you
yeah,
got the Atacama Desert down there, obviously Patagonia and Ushuaia.
yeah.
What are you guys really looking forward to next year as you
Mexico,
start heading south? Mexico.
Mexico.
Why? Food?
So food, the people. I mean, I spend a lot of time in Mexico growing up because San Diego's super close to Mexico, and
Hmm.
my we had really, really close family friends that I would consider almost family that we
Hmm.
got to know in San Diego, and then they moved back to Mexico. And so then every family vacation after that became like a Mexico trip. So I know and have visited more of Mexico than Argentina, which is
Yeah.
crazy. So
Wow. Is
I
there
love
anywhere
Mexico.
particular in Mexico?
Well, they live in Monterrey.
Oh,
Oh, where I
Okay.
want to go?
Very modern city.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I'm excited for Guanacaste. I'm excited for, oh my gosh, not Guanacaste. Oh my gosh, that's Costa Rica.
I don't even know where that is.
Guanajuato.
Guanajuato.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's on the
Um,
coast, right?
no, I think it's
It's
inland.
it's a
Okay.
really like hilly
Yeah,
kind of
hilly.
painted town.
Yeah.
Is it in Oaxaca or where is it at?
God, what is it in
I think it's
Guadalajara?
Guanajuato is
The province
the
the
province and the
It
region.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Shows you how
exactly.
little I know.
Yeah.
I could be totally wrong.
Yeah.
I know the city is Guanajuato, but
I think part of like Mexico allows us also 6 months
yeah.
for a travel visa, and so we want to take
Oh,
advantage of
okay.
that. It's also
Yeah,
a huge country, right? And so
it
um,
is.
we want to take that time, and everybody that I think part of it is that everybody that uh, I'm going to generalize and say everybody that we follow that has done this type of trip have really enjoyed Mexico, and the
Hmm.
various areas, and we're excited to take advantage of that. But
Yeah.
we're also really excited for South America too.
Yeah.
Not that we're not excited for Central, but I think the variety is greater in South.
Well,
Uh,
speak for yourself. I'm really excited to go to Costa Rica in this rig. I mean, one of the things that
Pump the
I
brakes, Chris.
I know. We're gonna move through Central America.
as we were designing the camper and talking about these big windows, one of the things
Yeah.
that I just kept envisioning in like kind of my vision board in my mind was sleeping on a beach in Costa Rica with the windows open and just having the view of the ocean from my bed. Like that
Hmm.
sticks out to me. And so I'm really, and I know exactly what beach we're going to do that at.
Oh, that's
Yes,
awesome.
do.
Yeah.
I feel like part of it is Central America is just like geographically small compared to South America.
Right.
It's like Rhode Island compared to Texas in size,
For
right?
sure.
Like it's so
Yeah.
much bigger.
Well,
But
and
not
you have
taking
no, and you have the like equivalent to the
Schengen.
Schengen zone down there. There's like
Mhm.
3 or 4 countries where you get 90 days total in
Right.
those all of those countries. So you're not extended the same amount of like time
Yeah.
that
Mm.
90 days is kind of typical like for the tourist visas per country, but the
Yeah.
this region you get that for all of these
All
countries.
four countries. Yeah.
Okay.
So you're kind of forced to be limited in time.
Yeah. But there's so much that that I'm excited about for Central America, but I'm also really excited to go to Colombia as well.
Yep.
I've heard such amazing things and the videos that I've seen, it just looks really beautiful and there's a big overlanding community there too. So I think
Okay.
it's set up for overlanders. So
Yeah.
and then obviously Argentina.
Yeah.
But
I'll give you guys some cash and you can bring me back a diesel Toyota from Colombia.
We know a guy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to
So
Ernesto.
we talked about what you're looking forward to. Is there anything that maybe is causing a little anxiety on the road ahead of what you need to do, border crossings or anything like that?
100%. Yeah. Even the border crossing into Canada, I was really anxious. So I can't imagine like, going into Nicaragua and not being like completely anxious mess. But
Yeah.
I think that happens like in all of our travels. I'd like to say that we have done a fair amount of traveling in our life. And for me, no matter where we go, even if it's, France, which I absolutely love France and we've been there a couple times, the first day, I'm always really anxious because it's new, and you're not
Yeah.
sure what to expect and you're not sure how people are going to respond. And then once you kind of like, oh, okay, it's fine. I've been here before, or I haven't been here, but like, okay, now I have the lay of the land and you settle in and then it's okay. So I know that's going to happen. I'm anticipating it happening. Um, but it doesn't make the anxiety go away.
Yeah, it's always
Yeah.
the unknown, right? And I
Yeah,
think that that's also it. Like you mentioned it, Ben, like border crossings are stressful.
very stressful.
Um, and just the general kind of rules that are in place that you might not be familiar with.
Yeah.
Um, so, we have some really good friends that just finished the Pan American. They go by Molly Mish. They're a family of five, and we pick their brain whenever we can about like their travels. I think one of the things that Dan shared with me about border crossings is that it just takes time for the most part. That's the most stressful part. So it's getting through all of the problems
The
and
bureaucracy of
yeah,
it.
the bureaucracy.
Yeah.
Um, I
Yeah.
think that, yeah, that's going to be kind of the most probably like worrisome
Yeah.
time when we're down there.
I do think it helps that I speak Spanish.
I
Obviously
was going to bring that up.
having
Yeah.
having a language barrier on top of it being super stressful is an extra stressor, and the fact that I can speak Spanish and kind of ask questions and move around the country and being able to communicate is huge, which is the reason why he's going to go to an immersion school.
Spanish immersion. So that's, I think
Mexico.
that's yeah, another reason why we're going to take some time in Mexico is we
Nice.
Yeah.
plan to put me in a Spanish immersion class while we're
Yeah.
down there.
So is that Karina's just not going to talk to you in English for like 2 months
Yeah.
or something like that?
Well, we'll see. That's a good idea, Ben.
I, yeah,
I
great way
have
to do it, right?
I got to be prepared
If you
because
want
like
dinner,
yeah.
You gotta ask for it in Spanish.
I got to be prepared because when her introvert comes out, she doesn't want to like talk to strangers. I have to be able to pick that up.
Yeah.
there you go. Yeah, the struggle is real. I hear you on that. I'm an introvert too, so there's
Yeah.
times I don't even want to see people.
Yeah.
So,
Very true.
we've talked about a lot here today, and I feel like we could just keep talking for like another 3 hours. But I know you guys are probably busy. You got to figure out where camp is going to be for the next night. Probably got to go
True.
hit the town and do your laundry or something like
Yeah.
that. There any final thoughts that you want to share with people, kind of who may be considering this, or anything you want to share?
Yeah, I would say we get a lot, not to plug our channel, but we get a lot of people asking like specifics about the camper. And I want to say that we are in the process of um, producing a tour video, like a rig walkthrough
Oh,
that we
cool.
will have on our channel, Momentary Locals.
Yeah.
It'll help kind of like illustrate and show how things are set up in the vehicle and why we chose what we did. Um, I think, like parting words are if you're no matter the type of travel that you want to do, just travel. Like get out there
Yeah.
and do it. There's so many reasons why people decide not to, and I think it really helps open your mind and your heart when you experience how other people experience life.
Yeah.
And you develop empathy and which I think is a real like, shortcoming in different parts of the world nowadays. So
Mhm.
our advice, I'm gonna like echo like what our friend KP says is whatever travel it is, just get out there and do it. Go camping, go
Yeah.
travel, experience um different, you know, m- get a little uncomfortable.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
And you get to eat some awesome food along the way, hopefully too,
Indeed.
right? So yeah,
Yeah.
especially going south. I'm a little bit jealous of your time in Mexico.
Yeah. I'm really excited about that for sure. Yeah.
Well,
And
guys, this is go ahead, Karina.
I was just gonna say, I do think also if you are thinking about this, just take the time to do the research. I know we talked about this earlier, but just don't rush it because it'll work out organically. I really believe that things
Yeah.
work out the way that they're supposed to, and so just don't rush the process and just learn from everything that you can.
Well, and I'm not going to be like devil's advocate here, but understand too that there is no perfect rig.
Yes,
Like there just
100%.
isn't.
Yeah.
You have
Yeah.
to make concessions, but prioritize what's important to you and make sure that those are your non-negotiables when
Yeah.
you're making your decision.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to highlight that last piece. Prioritize what's important to you. Because I see
Yeah.
people go on forums or Facebook groups all the time, and it's like, well, what should I get? And it's like,
Mm.
Yep.
do
No
you
one
even
can
know
answer
your own priorities, right? Like,
that.
so figure out what your priorities are first, and then you can talk to people that are in a similar boat, and then, figure out what worked for them.
There's
So,
a ton of resources out there,
So
and every type of rig, we're very fortunate. It's almost like a blessing and a curse to have so many different options for
yeah.
campers, or
mhm.
just, travel. And uh, but there's also so many resources available to help you make that decision.
Yeah.
So utilize those resources.
Yeah.
Yeah, the campers have just gotten insane, just like what's out there these days and like the truck toppers and everything. They've
Yeah.
really come so far in the last 3 years.
Exploded.
It's amazing. It is
Yeah.
amazing. So, Corinne and Chris, it's been great having you guys on the show and catching up with you. I know the last time we well, we met down in Big Sur, but
Right.
just to hear you going on these awesome adventures and seeing you guys actually out there doing it now, and just I know every day isn't just like sunshine and rainbows, but I can tell
Yes.
that you guys are just like generally happy that you're kind of living the dream right now. So I just wanted to say
Sure.
thank you one more time for
Yeah.
coming on the show, and maybe one day in the future our paths will cross again.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Thank you so much, Ben, for having us. It's been a lot of fun this morning.
Yeah, we really enjoyed it.
Absolutely.
We'll see you on the road for sure.
Yeah.